my name is Kendall Goodrich, and today we're going to be talking about pivotal response training, also known as PRT for short. So if you hear me say PRT, that's in reference to pivotal response training. So to get started, pivotal response training focuses on students with ASD mainly, but it can also be very beneficial to any other students having any sort of behavior problems in the classroom. So PRT is a supported research-based practice. There's different variations that you conduct and carry out, and your goals are going to be for communication. You want your students to communicate with you. You want them to communicate with their peers. You want them to communicate at home and just establish those good relationships. And students with ASD, a lot of times, they don't like to vocalize. It's not fun for them. They don't have any kind of encouragement. I mean, if they get what they want without using their words, what's going to be pleasant for them about learning language and using and establishing spoken verbal language if they don't have to? So to encourage spoken verbal language in the classroom, you can go about it in a few different ways. Always positive reinforcement. You will never talk down to a kid. Your tone should always be very uplifting and positive. If you see your student with ASD doing something correct and that's just awesome, always give them encouragement. Any kind of effort, just verbally say, "Wow, Alex, that was amazing. You're doing awesome. I really liked how you put those scissors up and didn't run or didn't stop and peck on anyone or walk around the room after you were done. That was awesome." And to kind of try to introduce verbal communication while you're doing an activity. If you see that your student wants a certain color crayon, instead of just allowing them to snatch the crayon up, you can say, "No, what color do you want?" And once they vocalize green or anything that sounds like green and just that effort, give them that green crayon and you say, "That is awesome." So you just want to always positively reinforce. And then more in real life situations, you can ask parents to incorporate this into their daily lives, and something they probably don't think about or know as well. At home, when you're out and about and their ASD child is wanting the iPad, that way they can calm down, have some space, some cool down time, instead of just taking the iPad, you can say, "Would you like an iPad?" And they relate that and they want to vocalize that they want the iPad. There's been research to prove that PRT is extremely effective in the classroom, outside of the classroom, and with social interactions among peers, once again, yourself as a teacher, and at home with their families. One study showed that 20 different teachers all worked with students with autism spectrum disorders, and they were just given a fine line of, here's what PRT is without training, implement it in your classroom. And they measured specifically, there's a PRT guideline. You can document all of your findings on research and how your kids behave in the classroom. They documented and went back, and that was filed. After being filed, they had a professional training. After being trained properly and thoroughly that communication is a huge way to correct behavioral issues, positive reinforcement is a great way to correct behavioral issues, they went back from their training and they re-recorded their students with ASD implementing the PRT tactics that they learned in training. So after their training, they saw huge improvements and just various kinds of data was recorded and documented from 20 different teachers. That's 20 different teaching styles and 20 different students. And as we all know, ASD comes in many different forms and has different ends of the spectrum. You could have just clearly a nonverbal child, whereas another child could be very verbal. You could have a screaming child. You could have someone who loves to STEM. Intelligence varies. ASD has no set conduct with it. So PRT showed across the board improvements in every single child with ASD taught by all different teachers. So positive reinforcement training is a wonderful way and tactic to benefit every student, whether they're just a behavioral general ed student or a student with ASD in the classroom.